You've seen it happen. Maybe you've done it yourself. You raise your voice, you leave too long, you step on a paw by accident, or you push a dog off the couch when you're tired, or you close a door in his face. And for a moment, just a moment, he flinches, looks at you with something you can't quite name. And then, within minutes, sometimes seconds, he's back, pressing against your leg, offering a toy, resting his head on your knee as if nothing happened. We call it forgiveness. But here is the question nobody seems to ask. Is that what it actually is? Because forgiveness, in the way humans experience it, requires something remarkable. It requires remembering what was done, feeling the injury of it, and then making a choice, a conscious, deliberate choice, to let it go. And the science of what dogs can and cannot hold in their minds leads somewhere far stranger than anyone expected. To understand what dogs might be doing in those moments, we first need to understand what they are actually capable of remembering. For decades, animal cognition researchers operated under a simple assumption: dogs live in the present. Their memory, like their experience of time, was considered episodic only in the loosest sense. They remembered routes, faces, scents, but the idea that a dog could hold the specific memory of a specific event, a particular moment of fear, confusion, or pain, and carry it forward with emotional weight attached, that was considered unlikely. Then researchers began looking more carefully, and what they found complicated everything. Dogs do retain emotional memories, not in the narrative sense that humans do, not as a story they replay, but as a felt association. A scent, a sound, a posture, a tone of voice becomes linked, sometimes permanently, to a feeling: fear, wariness, withdrawal. Shelter dogs show this clearly. A dog who has been mistreated doesn't narrate its past, but it responds to certain stimuli: a raised hand, a specific body posture, a particular type of voice, with unmistakable physiological stress, increased cortisol, rapid heart rate, avoidance behavior. The memory is not stored as a story, it is stored as a body. And here is where the forgiveness question becomes genuinely fascinating. If a dog doesn't hold the narrative of what you did, doesn't replay the moment, doesn't construct a grievance, then what exactly is happening when it comes back to you? There are two competing explanations, and they lead to very different conclusions about what dogs are. The first is the simpler one. Dogs, this view argues, are not forgiving you. They are doing something more instinctual, reconciling, rebuilding social cohesion after a rupture. Because for a social animal, conflict resolution isn't a moral act, it's a survival mechanism. In wolf packs, the social structure from which dogs descended, tension between pack members is resolved through specific ritualized behaviors: submission signals, appeasement gestures, physical proximity restored after distance. The pack cannot function with sustained internal conflict, so evolution built in systems to resolve it quickly. Dogs inherited these systems. When your dog comes back to you after you've raised your voice, it may be executing something ancient and automatic, the behavioral script for reestablishing group cohesion. Not forgiveness, repair. But here is what makes the second explanation harder to dismiss.
Ethologist Alexandra Horowitz, whose work on dog cognition has repeatedly forced science to revise its assumptions, has documented something that doesn't fit cleanly into the repair behavior model. Dogs show differential responses to the same behavior depending on who is performing it. A dog may accept rough play from its primary owner, but react with clear stress signals to the identical behavior from a stranger. The same action, the same intensity, but a completely different emotional response based on the relationship. This matters enormously, because it suggests that dogs aren't just processing behaviors, they are processing behaviors in the context of a specific individual relationship. They are tracking a history, not as a narrative, but as something, a felt record, an accumulated sense of who this person is, what this person usually does, whether this person is safe. And if a dog holds a relationship-specific emotional record, if it registers this person, over time, as distinct from any person, then when it returns to you after conflict, it may be doing something more than executing a repair script. It may be drawing on something that functions like trust. If these questions about what dogs carry inside them, what they feel, what they remember, what they extend toward us, pull at you the way they pull me, consider subscribing. There is so much more of this to explore together. Here is what the neuroscience allows us to say carefully. Dogs possess the neural architecture for what researchers call associative emotional memory. When an experience produces a strong emotional response, fear, pain, relief, joy, that experience is encoded not as a sequence of events, but as a set of triggers linked to a feeling.
This is managed primarily by the amygdala, the brain's threat detection and emotional tagging center. Dogs have an amygdala homologous to ours, and like ours, it encodes experiences with emotional salience with remarkable durability. What this means in practice, a dog who has been frightened by something will retain that fear response, sometimes for life, even if the context changes. The emotional tag persists. But, and this is the critical asymmetry, positive emotional tags show similar durability. A dog who associates a specific person with safety, predictability, warmth, and reliable return over hundreds and thousands of interactions builds a deeply embedded positive encoding. The relationship itself becomes neurologically present as a felt sense of security. So when you do something that ruptures that sense, when you raise your voice, when you disappear too long, when you're impatient or rough or absent, the rupture lands against the background of everything that came before. The relationship is the context, and the relationship, if it has been built with care, is extraordinarily resilient. But this raises the question I find most difficult to answer. Is resilience the same as forgiveness? A child can forgive a parent precisely because it understands that the parent acted in a specific moment, that the moment is now past, that the relationship is larger than any single event. Forgiveness requires holding the injury and the relationship simultaneously and choosing the relationship. Can a dog do this? The honest answer is we don't know. The cognitive machinery required for that specific form of forgiveness, the narrative, the deliberate choice, the moral weight of it, may not be present in dogs in the way it is in humans.
But here is what is present. Dogs are extraordinarily attuned to intention. Studies by ethologist Hare and others have shown that dogs distinguish between a person who accidentally withholds a reward and one who deliberately withholds it. The dog's response, whether it persists, withdraws, or redirects, differs based on what the human appeared to mean. They are reading not just what you do, but why you did it, which means the question shifts. It's not, does a dog forgive you in the way a human does? It's, does a dog possess something more nuanced, a felt sense of your intentions, a resilience built on accumulated trust, a capacity to re-extend security to someone who has briefly broken it? And to that question, the evidence leans heavily toward yes. There is one more dimension to this that the science has only recently begun to explore. For years, researchers observed what appeared to be guilt in dogs, the lowered head, the tucked tail, the averted eyes, and assumed it was evidence of moral self-awareness. The dog knows it did something wrong. The dog feels guilty. Then, a series of studies, most famously by Alexandra Horowitz in 2009, tested this directly. Dogs showed the guilty look just as often when they had not done anything wrong, as long as their owner believed they had. The behavior, it turned out, was not a response to the dog's own action. It was a response to the owner's emotional state. The dog wasn't expressing guilt. It was reading your face and responding immediately, precisely, automatically, with appeasement signals specifically designed to de-escalate your distress. Think about what that means. When you come home to find something destroyed and your dog gives you that look, he is not confessing.
He is responding to you. He has read the shift in your body language, your scent, your face, and he is doing everything in his nature to bring you back. Not because he is guilty, because you matter to him. And perhaps that is the deepest answer the science offers. Dogs may not forgive us the way humans forgive each other, with conscious deliberation, moral weight, and narrative resolution. But they do something that may be, in its own way, more remarkable. They extend their security system toward us again and again, with a speed and a consistency that suggests the question of whether to return was never seriously in doubt.
They come back not because they have processed the injury and chosen to release it. They come back because, at the level of every instinct evolution gave them, you are the center of their world, and worlds don't abandon their centers. Which leaves us with one more question, one that follows from everything here and opens into something even larger. We've been asking whether dogs forgive us, but we've never asked the harder question. Do dogs ever feel genuinely wronged? Is there something somewhere inside a dog's experience that functions like a sense of injustice? Because the answer, it turns out, is something science only recently dared to look for. And what they found will change the way you see every dog you have ever known.